The Local Women Travel Podcast is sponsored by That Prize Guy. Win big prizes daily at thatprizeguy.co.uk.
I'm here at the famous Europa Hotel in the Belfast city centre for the Local Woman Travel Podcast. We're here with Andy, the General Manager of the Europa Hotel. Andy, thank you so much for having us down here today to talk to you. How long have you been with the Europa Hotel?
I started here in 1998, so 27 years ago, but I did move about in the company.
And I remember you.
Yes, I remember you in 1998 when you won Miss Northern Ireland.
I know, it seems like yesterday, of course, long time ago. And it was James McGinn was the manager at that time, and now he's kind of moved up the ranks.
Yes, James is now managing director, so we all bow down to James when he walks past.
And there's quite a few hotels. There's 6 now for the Hastings.
6 hotels within the group, so we've got the Europa, Grand Central, Ballygally, Everglades, Stormont and Culloden.
How do they all differ?
Each of them has their own identity. So the Europa is very iconic, and it's the sort of party hotel that everyone comes to enjoy themselves.
That's why you're the manager?
Yes, big time. That at Christmas we say the hotel shakes from side to side because there's so much going on and everyone's there to have a good time. Culloden and the Grand Central are 5-star properties, so that's where you go to relax, especially the Culloden, the views out on the Belfast Lough. I managed it for a time as well, and it is absolutely stunning. And then you've got Ballygally on the coast, and it's just a lap of luxury as well down there. The Everglades in Derry, and then you have Stormont looking after all the politicians when they come across for their teas and coffees and a pint or two.
So you've quite a unique selling point in that each hotel attracts a different clientele. So this is the party hotel.
Yes.
So what sort of up and coming events have you got planned?
So this year we've a lot of activity that's happening within Europa. We've in the last sort of 5 years spent £17 million revamping the whole hotel. So we've just completed the penthouse suite on the 12th floor. We also completed our business centre on the 2nd floor, and at the minute we're doing a major piece of work in the piano lounge, which is very iconic. That's where you go to for the late drinks on a Saturday night. So we're just about to revamp that, and we're also creating a new space called the Parlour, which is quite exciting, and that's going to open for St. Paddy's Day. Oh,
very good. That's a date for the diary.
Yes.
And what's going to be in the parlour?
So the parlour is going to be just that sort of lap of luxury added on to the piano bar. We're changing a lot of the interiors in the piano. We're moving the piano into the parlour, and we're just changing things about. So it's going to be a new look and a new feel.
So I believe you have Van Morrison coming, is that?
Yes, so Sir Van Morrison coming to do 2 shows on Easter Sunday and Easter Monday. So it's called In the Afternoon. So early afternoon sessions, so it's lunch, and then Van's going to play for us in an intimate gig for 300 people both days.
So are the Flas coming in the summertime?
Yes, the Flas coming at the start of August from the 2nd to the 9th. We're the host hotel. So a lot of Irish music entertainers are hitting the city. So we're very excited about that.
Such a good city, and you're very much in a prime position here. You know, the Europa Hotel, I've come here for years. I remember coming here when I was 20, which is only yesterday. And you have the Crown Bar, which is one of the oldest bars in Belfast, right opposite. I mean, that's obviously a big draw. Then the Europa is known to be the most bombed hotel in the world. I would imagine people do actually come to stay to be able to say that. Is that something that you would find?
Yes, everyone loves to come to Europa. We lost the title of most bombed in the world. We're now the most bombed in Europe. I think somewhere in Iraq now has that title. But we do get a lot of American visitors coming, and they start to arrive from sort of that Easter weekend, and they're right through until the end of October. And they all love to come into the hotel, take the pictures. There's signs up because President Clinton stayed here. So and also when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, stayed here. So they all love getting their pictures at the signs.
And I believe this was where Hillary Clinton actually stayed, in this Titanic suite.
Yes, so we built the Titanic suite, and it so happened that she was coming to Belfast that weekend, so she was the first person to stay here.
I feel very privileged. You may actually have sat where I'm sitting. And this is a beautiful room. I mean, this was one of the rooms that you did during the refurbishment. Are there any other very special suites?
So just down the hall, when President Clinton came to stay in '95, we have the Clinton suite, and it was the actual room that he stayed in where the big red phone was in case there was an attack or whatever.
And how many rooms do you have in the hotel?
So we're 272 bedrooms. We're one of the biggest in the city. Our sister hotel, Grand Central, stole that crown on me a few years ago, so they have 300.
So would you say that this is the hotel to stay at if you're coming to Belfast?
Of course it is. It's the most iconic hotel. It's one of the oldest in the city, and where everyone wants to come and enjoy themselves, especially on a Saturday night.
Well, Andy, thank you so much. Honestly, we had a great time chatting, and I'll see you later.
Thanks very much.
We've got Conor here from Belfast Hidden Tours to tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Pleased to meet you, Conor.
Pleased to meet you.
Tell us all about it.
Depends on the season. So at the moment it's off season, so we're doing a lot more private work. We do a bit of corporate work. We would take people out for food and drink. Whiskey, it's a big one. The city's got a big revival now. I would say that we're probably the biggest whiskey city in the world for heritage and production as well. So that story's coming through. During the summer season, we'll probably go back to our basics, which will be a whiskey experience, a city centre tour, political tour, which I personally love. It's a minefield. And then we do a cultural show called The Belfast Story for a lot of clients. And that celebrates the history of Belfast through story, song, music and dance. So with the flag coming in, it's great because we've been doing it for 10 years. And then we're having people from around the world and from around the island coming into the city, and we've definitely got the best talent pool in the world for traditional music in Belfast, I'm pretty certain.
So we'll start with a whiskey tour then. Which whiskies do you cover for that?
Well, we're on the corner of Grosvenor Road here, so if you go about 300 yards down the line there, down the road, you'll come to Distillery Street. Distillery Street was the biggest distillery in the world at one stage, and that was from the Dunvilles. And if you go at the top of where the Royal Victoria Hospital is, across you have Dunville Park. It was donated to the people of Belfast, and it was the first public park of Belfast. So you have loads of history on whiskey. So I would say Dunvilles. Anyone that's from the Bangor direction might have heard of Redburn House. And if you go around the back of Redburn House, they have a bear pit. You have to say bear like that there to Americans, because the way we talk, bear. So sometimes I put my hands up. It's just because that's what I would do with tourists. So we go bear. You understand I'm talking about the animal. And it was Bruno the bear was their favourite animal. And he was brought to all their houses over in England and stuff. And the maids and the workers hated him. But he's the family's favourite pet.
Are we talking about a real bear?
A real bear, yeah.
Right.
Bruno the bear.
Oh, he was the
pet of the and when the last chairman passed away, they give the collection of exotic animals back to the city. It becomes the Belfast City Zoo.
That's very interesting. Actually, I never heard of Bruno the bear. Yeah. And the Distillery Street, when does that go back to? How many years?
1870s, I was pretty sure. 1874 comes to mind when the distillery was built. By 1900, 75% of Irish whiskey was being made in Belfast. So there was loads of other distilleries. The Royal Irish Distilleries, which was the Dunvilles distillery, it was the biggest in the world. I think it was 6.5 acre site. And then you have a 6.5 acres warehouses around Chichester Street as well. So if you go up to where St Malachy's is, that's where the warehouse used to be. And they realised after a while that St Malachy's had the biggest bell tower in Belfast. They realised that the bell tower was shaking the whiskey too much and affecting the whiskey in the cask. So they write a letter to the bishop, and within a month the bishop puts felt around the tower, or the bell. And it's still there today. People think I make these stories up. They're all true. So
that's the whiskey tour. So the people walk around with that?
Yeah, I would split up a tour as a tour where you maybe do a walking tour for like 2 hours. I call the whiskey one an experience. So maybe go to Dark Horse. You'll get an exclusive Dark Horse whiskey that you only get there. I'll go to maybe Morning Star. I'll maybe call in the Daisies. He's got whiskey chocolates. And we'll do that. And then finish off somewhere like Madden's to get a good selection of whiskies. Or more importantly, the Garrick. Do a Belfast coffee or an Irish coffee. And I would say that they do the best Irish coffees in the world. And recently they've worked with Copeland Distillery and they've made a chocolate-based whiskey. They're using chocolate malt specifically for the Irish coffee. So it's even got better.
Gosh, that sounds great.
We have loads of the best things in the world in Belfast. Yeah. Marty, by the way, that does the chocolate liqueurs, he's won the best hot chocolate twice or 3 times in the last 5 years.
Okay, so that's the whiskey tour, and then you were saying you've a cultural tour?
Cultural is the Belfast story. So even last year we would have done it in the piano bar a few times for clients that come to hotels. So we do put it on for specific groups coming in, usually Americans. You maybe have 40, 50 Americans, and you get to tell the story of Belfast. And I love it because I change it about. Recently we found, but I was shown a song called My Belfast Love, and it's written by a man called Finbar McGee, and it's only 2002. So especially the last time we did it in the piano bar, we got the guy to explain where the city's been. It was towards the end, and we explained that this was written 4 years after the peace agreement, and it starts off about walking through Wormwood Park, and it's a romantic song, and it shows you that the people of Belfast still have a heart, and that's what you want to show the world, that even within all this chaos and all the madness, that the people were the people still had the heart. And that song to me is it's a really great find that people maybe don't know. Had loads of Americans sing along to it as well, so it's quite catchy. So that's the stuff that we try to push in terms of performers. The Fla's coming in. We've got 3 great pipers. So we've got Henry Spence is the under-14 Scottish bagpipe champion for All Ireland, and then last year Lachlan McKibben won the Illian pipes, and then the other guy that we have, Peter McKenna from Tyrone. He's from near 5 Mile Town, or Clocker. Yeah, he's from around there. And the McKennas are a big traditional music family. He's won it 6 times. So even if you look at one instrument, the bagpipes and the Scottish bagpipes, in the city and around the city, we have the best in Ireland, which mainly means it's the best in the world, which is best in the universe. That's why I look at it.
Of course. And then what about the political tour? Should we even talk about this? I mean,
I love it, and it's a minefield because the majority of people who do the political tours are usually an older generation, maybe 60, 70-year-olds. Some of them have been ex-combatants, so they have a different side of the story. Yep. I've always done it from like 10 years ago. I've called it Belfast Beyond Walls, so I try to look at the walls, the community work being done. So even in the last year, they've opened up the gates by 2 hours. That's great. So that's added into our story to show that it was the young people, the community groups, that decided here, we need to get in from one area to the next at this time. So they've asked the communities went to the Department of Justice, and then now they've extended to 8 o'clock, half eight at night, which means we can actually bring tourists up, and you can go in and out of the walls where before you wouldn't. At 6 o'clock they close. So that's all progress. But it's a minefield even with the guides. I have to decide where to start. Some want to start at Divis because they want to go straight into it. I like starting in the city centre, so I give a bit of a background. And then you've got places like the Dark Horse that has a lot of the political dark humour in the art. So it's being looked at the moment internally by the different bodies and seeing what they can do with it. But the story needs to be told. So
the other tour that you do is the Pride of Belfast. What does that involve?
That's a new walking tour that's designed by a local guy called Sam, and Sam Donnelly's one of the best guides in the town. So working in McConnell's distillery at the moment, and I did a job about 8 or 9 years ago for Cara Group, and it was the Holy Hand tour, and I basically did a LGBT themed tour, and I was interested because the guys, was one of the first times I walked around the town holding hands, and I just felt a wee bit dishonest because I'm not from that community, that I was like, I'll have to put this to the side and wait for someone to pick up on it. And then Sam started working with me. I just thought she was a great guide. And she says, Conor, have you ever thought about doing a Pride tour? And I says, look, there's a market there, there's a place, and you take that. Yeah. So she's went away and designed it. It's a 2-hour tour, roughly 2.5. It's really emotional. It's really personal. Yeah. Sam's a great ambassador for the city, but also for that story. So she does touch on hard points, Lyra McKee and Darren Bradshaw murder, and stuff that is quite raw, but she does it really good. But there's a real positivity about it. Last year we had the first openly gay Lord Mayor, Mickey Murray. You get the flag on top of City Hall now. Pride's one of the best festivals. And also a great plug for her. Brack Tours is a great company locally, and they've got a Pride tour now, 5-day tour, that Sam's one of the key people now of.
I mean, you sound very busy, Conor. We're all very busy. Now, which would be the key dates for the diary, and how do we book?
Well, I'm super busy in the summer, so I don't want to say summer because come out now. We do loads of private groups and especially corporate stuff. We do quite a lot of evening tours, really good relationships with bars and restaurants in the town. So for now, you get private ones great. In the summer, I'd say, to be honest, if you're coming into Belfast, July and August, there's loads happening. It's crazy. You've got the Fly, you've got the Pride, you've got the Trad Festival. I do a lot with the Belfast Whisky Week Festival.
Thank you so much, Conor. Honestly, we've really loved talking to you today, and good luck with everything that you're going to do for the summer and for the rest of the year?
No, thank you.
We've got Emma from Wee Walks Belfast, which is solely for women. And walking around Belfast, what will we encounter if I was on this tour?
So it's tours about women. It's not necessarily just for women. Men do come, not that many, but I do like to see men coming to hear about the women's history as well. But I cover talking about women's history.
And what typically would you?
So I have about 6 or 7 different women's walking tours. I call them women's walking tours, as I say, they're not necessarily just for women. Covering different women who are connected to Belfast. We hear a lot about all the men connected to Belfast, and a lot of people do tours related to the Troubles and the industrial and that kind of thing. But nobody was talking about women's history, so that's what I decided to cover. And I do have about 6 or 7 different women's walking tours with different themes.
Can we talk about the themes?
Yes, certainly. The first one that I did was called Well-Behaved Women Seldom Make History. So I chose 12 different women, some that you would have heard of and some that you wouldn't, and did a little bit about the suffragettes in that tour. Quickly realised that the suffragettes would be a tour of their own. Yeah. So made a suffragettes walking tour then, which is purely about the suffragettes in Belfast. And then I have other ones, for example, Brothels, Babies in Old Belfast, which takes us into the Cathedral Quarter, the oldest part of Belfast. A new one called Glitz, Glam and a Bit of Gossip, which is more recent, as in maybe 40s and 50s, 1940s and 50s. Where they bought the fur coats, where women shopped, where they danced, where they drank, where they partied, and all that kind of thing.
So all of those tours sound great. Which one would you recommend if I was to go on one?
The original one is Well-Behaved Women Seldom Make History. So on that one...
I'm not very well behaved.
This is the point of the story, is because some of them weren't well behaved and you've never heard of them. Women's history, quite difficult to research because it's very often hidden away. They'd be called wife of or Mrs. or Miss. If they change their name, it makes them difficult to research when they get married. For the example, the suffragettes, they'll just maybe show a picture which will say a group of women or a group of girls. Mm-hmm. But Well-Behaved Women Seldom Make History is the original women's walking tour for Belfast. So we cover people like that you may have heard of, such as Mary Ann McCracken, who would be the one that most people have heard of. But I also cover, and one of my favourite stops on that tour is a lady called Clara Copley. And Clara Copley became the first female boxing promoter on the island of Ireland at the age of 70. So she's probably one of my favourite people on that particular tour. So it's a good mix of people. Don't want to give too much away by saying who all I cover, but yeah, there'll be women that you'll have heard of and women that you won't.
And what took your interest in this, Emma? Like, why did you? Obviously, there was a need for this, but is your background being a historian?
I was involved in local history a number of years ago, and then I had my son, and he's 11 now, so those things kind of have to take a back seat then, and I sort of picked it up about 2 years ago, retrained as a tour guide about 2 years ago after doing an Open University degree, and during the class you're encouraged to think about what sort of tours you would do for yourself. Nobody was doing women's walking tours, so I decided that I would do one, and I started with Well-Behaved Women Seldom Make History.
And how do we hear about you? How do we book? Which platforms are you on?
So I'm on Facebook, but I just built my own website there about 2 months ago, which is weewalksbelfast.com, and I take my bookings there.
Very good. And what's your typical audience? I mean, a lot of American tourists, I'm guessing.
Mostly locals, and mostly women. I say men are always welcome. They don't come that often, but I like to see more women or more men coming. Sorry. Dogs are welcome as well. So people bring their dogs. People bring prams. So it's really for initially, or at the moment, it would be for local women really. But they would be my biggest customer base.
Yeah. And how long does the tour take?
So they're all about 2 hours. They're about 4,000 steps. So each one I keep to within 2 hours. because maybe this is just me, I like to start at 11, finish at 1, so you've had coffee before you start, you can have lunch when you finish. So you'll get women who'll make it a bit of a day out, say, oh, we had coffee first and then came, or we're going for lunch after, or whatever. So they're all 2 hours. I try to stick within 2 hours.
And how much is it, Emma?
They're £20 for a ticket.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Emma, for coming in, and I will look forward to joining you with my dog on one of your tours.
Please do.
And yeah, good luck with everything. It sounds like a great thing that you're doing.
Thank you very much.
We're here in the lovely Titanic suite on the 10th floor in the Europa Hotel. So much history. And in fact, Hillary Clinton even slept in this bed.
The Local Women Travel Podcast is sponsored by That Prize Guy. Win big prizes daily at thatprizeguy.co.uk.